Help me reach 1,000 subscribes. Support the video with a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. I read every comment. Thanks. I never imagined that a simple RSVP could unravel everything. My name is Emily and I'm 28. I've been dating Nathan for almost 2 years now. He's the kind of guy who makes you feel safe, loved, and understood. Or at least, that's what I thought. But last week, everything I believed about us came crashing down, all because of a wedding invitation. It started innocently enough. My ex, James, whom I hadn't seen in 4 years, sent me an invitation to his wedding. He and I had a history, sure, but it was complicated. We parted ways not out of hatred, but because life pulled us in different directions. I had grown, and I thought I had moved on. Still, part of me wanted closure. To see him happy, to attend a ceremony where the past would finally feel like just that, the past. I remember holding the envelope in my hands, my heart thumping with that familiar mix of nostalgia and anxiety. Nathan was out of town that day, and I debated silently with myself for hours. Should I tell him? Should I just decline? Or could I be honest, explain that it's purely platonic, and see how he reacts? I decided honesty was the only way to navigate this delicate situation. That night, I called Nathan. He answered on the first ring, cheerful as always. I could hear the faint hum of the city outside his apartment window, cars passing by, life moving on. "Hey," he said, voice warm. "Everything okay?" I hesitated. "Yeah, actually, something came up." I said, try to sound casual. "James." He sent me a wedding invitation. There was silence on the other end. Then the tiniest sigh. "James? Your ex." His voice was calm, but there was a thread of something underneath. Unease, perhaps. "Yes, I know it's unexpected. I wasn't sure if I should even tell you." I admitted, I feel like it's polite to go. It's been years, and I want to see him happy. That's all. I don't want you to think. "I think it's a terrible idea," he interrupted, finally breaking the quiet. His voice wasn't loud, not angry, but the weight in it made my stomach churn. "Emily, I don't like the idea of you going to your ex's wedding. It just feels wrong." I could feel my pulse quicken, a mix of frustration and disbelief. "Nathan, please. It's just a wedding. I'm not going there to relive anything. I'm not going back to him. It's just social etiquette." "I don't care about etiquette," he said sharply. "I care about us. And seeing your ex with someone else. I can't handle it." I froze. His words weren't a discussion. They weren't a plea. They were a boundary, one I hadn't anticipated would be so rigid, so immovable. I tried to reason with him, to explain how little it meant, how much I valued our relationship, but his tone never softened. By the time the weekend arrived, tension had settled between us like a thick fog. I felt like I was walking on eggshells, my every word carefully measured. The invitation sat on my desk, pristine and mocking, a reminder how something so innocent could spark an invisible storm. When Nathan returned, I tried to approach it gently. "I want to go," I said softly. "I hope you understand." "I don't," he said. He didn't yell. He didn't beg. He simply looked at me with eyes that once held warmth and now held a cold finality I didn't recognize. "If you go, Emily, I can't be with you anymore." My chest tightened. My mind raced. I couldn't believe it. All this time, we built a life together, shared dreams, late-night talks, small victories, little inside jokes that made us feel invincible. And now, a wedding invitation, a harmless social gesture, had shattered it all. I tried to reason, pleaded with him to see that it wasn't about James. But Nathan's mind was made up. He didn't yell. He didn't throw things. He simply left the apartment, taking his jacket and his pride with him, leaving me alone in the quiet apartment that suddenly felt foreign. That night, I sat by the window, staring at the city lights, trying to process. How could one event, one decision, dismantle everything we had built? And yet, as the hours ticked by, a strange clarity emerged. I realized that Nathan's reaction revealed more about him than about me. His fear, his jealousy, his inability to trust my judgment. It wasn't just about the wedding. It was about control, about boundaries that were never communicated until it was too late. I called my best friend, Olivia, and recounted everything. She listened, quiet, before saying the words that hit me harder than Nathan ever could. Emily, maybe this is a blessing in disguise. If he can't handle this, if he's willing to walk away over something so trivial, imagine what else he'd react to. Maybe it's not about James. Maybe it's about him and what he's really capable of. The words lingered in my mind as I finally made my decision. I would go to the wedding, not for James, not for Nathan, for myself, to reclaim a sense of freedom I hadn't realized I'd lost, a chance to honor the past without fear of losing the present. But as the day of the wedding approached, a sinking feeling began to grow. It wasn't just Nathan's absence, the silence between us, or the shattered trust. It was a fear that by stepping into that celebration, I might uncover truths I wasn't ready to face, secrets hidden behind smiles and vows, the kind that could change everything I thought I knew about my life, my choices, and my heart. And that's when I realized I had no idea how right Nathan had been about one thing. Sometimes the past isn't just a memory. It's a storm waiting to hit, and I was standing in the middle of it, completely unprepared. The morning of the wedding arrived with an uneasy calm. I dressed carefully, choosing a soft blue dress that felt elegant but not attention-seeking. My heart raced, a mixture of anticipation, guilt, and something else I couldn't name. I knew Nathan wouldn't forgive me, and part of me feared that by going, I was opening a door I could never close. The ceremony was held in a quaint countryside chapel, the kind with ivy creeping along the walls and sunlight spilling through stained glass, casting fractured colors on the polished wooden floor. I parked my car a block away, letting the familiar rhythm of my heartbeat anchor me. I didn't know if I was going for closure, curiosity, or just to prove to myself that I had the courage Nathan seemed to lack. As I walked up the aisle, memories came flooding back. James, standing there in a tailored gray suit, smiling effortlessly, holding the hand of a woman I barely recognized but who radiated happiness. A pang of envy and longing hit me unexpectedly. It wasn't James the first wanted. It never was. But the life I could have had with him if things had gone differently. I slid into a pew near the back, trying to make myself small, hoping no one would notice me. James glanced my way briefly, his eyes widening in surprise, but the warmth of his smile told me it was purely cordial. I exhaled slowly, letting some tension release. The vows began, the words, so filled with promise and hope, were a stark contrast to the storm raging in my own life. Nathan's absence weighed on me like a physical presence. The seat beside me remained empty, a silent accusation, a reminder of his final words. "If you go, Emily, I can't be with you anymore." After the ceremony, the reception hall buzzed with laughter, clinking glasses, and the soft hum of a string quartet. I sipped my champagne, careful to remain composed. Then I saw him, Nathan. He stood at the entrance, arms crossed, jaw tight, his eyes locked on me. And for a moment, the world seemed to shrink until it was just us. I felt my stomach knot. He had come, but why? Anger? Regret? Or a desire to confront me in front of everyone? Before I could process, James appeared beside me. "Emily, I'm glad you came," he said warmly. His presence was comforting, grounding. But even as I smiled, my eyes kept flicking toward Nathan, whose expression didn't soften. Finally, he approached. "We need to talk," he said, voice low enough that only I could hear. I nodded subtly, following him to a quiet corner of the terrace outside. The hum of the party behind us felt distant, almost unreal. "Why did you come?" he demanded, not shouting, but with controlled intensity that made my chest tighten. "I needed to," I replied. "Not for James. Not for anyone else. I needed to see this, to close that chapter for myself. I'm not the same person I was when we met, Nathan, and I realized something important." He cut me off sharply. "You realized? Or you just acted without thinking about us? About what I would feel? I thought about you," I said quietly, meeting his gaze. "But I also realized that if you can't trust me, if a wedding invitation is enough to end what we had, then maybe we weren't meant to last. And I'm done living in fear of your reactions. Nathan's eyes softened briefly, just for a heartbeat, then hardened again. He took a deep breath. Emily, you don't understand. This isn't just about trust. It's about respect, boundaries, and the fact that you were willing to put yourself in a place where your past could interfere with us. I get that. I admitted. I understand why you felt hurt. But the past is part of who I am. You can't erase it, just like I can't erase us growing up, learning, making mistakes. I went to James's wedding not to rekindle anything, but to honor closure, and I can't apologize for that. There was a long silence. Nathan looked away, frustration evident. Yet something else lingered, a hint of admiration, maybe for my courage or perhaps jealousy. I wasn't sure. Finally, he shook his head. Emily, I can't do this anymore. I can't handle the fear that every little thing will push you away. I love you, but I don't think love alone is enough to survive this. Not if we keep testing each other like this. My throat tightened, tears threatening to spill, but I held them back. I had expected this, yet it still stung. Then maybe this is it. I whispered. Maybe we needed this moment to see the truth. Nathan nodded, voice barely audible. Maybe it is. Maybe it's the hardest thing I've ever done, letting you go, but also the only thing that makes sense. We stood there, silence stretching between us, filled with memories, regrets, and unspoken feelings. Then he turned, walking away without another word. I watched him disappear into the crowd, and for the first time in weeks, I felt a strange mix of sorrow and relief. The weight of trying to please someone who couldn't see me clearly lifted, replaced by a quiet, bittersweet clarity. I returned to reception, James catching my eye again with a supportive smile. I realize in that life doesn't always give neat resolutions, but it does offer moments of clarity, lessons we can carry forward. Nathan's departure, painful as it was, revealed the truth about us, about love, boundaries, and the courage to honor yourself even when others can't understand. As I watched the newlyweds share their first dance, I whispered a silent promise to myself. To embrace my choices, to honor my feelings, and to step into the future without fear of what I can't control. Sometimes closure isn't about someone else. It's about reclaiming your own life, even if it means walking away from someone you thought would never leave. And in that quiet moment, surrounded by laughter, music, and fleeting shadows of the past, I finally understood why Nathan left and why I needed him to.